Okay, here we are with the midweek howl, the non.
Oh,
Oh, you haven't done that in a long time. The non,
no, no.
the non paranormal part
I've been mourning.
of the From the Shadows podcast. I had a long discussion with Phil yesterday, and and he was like, "Hey, we got to really make sure we differentiate this middle of the week
Let's
show."
just change it. Let's just do a different one. Let's just change it. Reach out to the listeners and say, what do you want to name the midweek howl? Let's rename it. Let's start
Well, no,
all.
no. His thing is he's afraid that people that tune in for Bigfoot and other things, then when
I
they
was voted Bigfoot of my high school class.
I know, and so was your prom date, right?
Well, not a prom date, but a girl I went out with later. I probably got my little certificate. My mom kept all the stuff. When my brother passed a couple of years ago, she gave us these big plastic boxes with all this kid stuff. Stuff from when we were kids, pictures and grade school stuff. Mm-hmm.
And you think you have your certificate?
Maybe, I don't know. So tell us what Phil. He's always got good constructive criticism.
Well, he's just worried that people that are tuning in to
both of them
hear Bigfoot and stuff like that they're not in on the joke of what me and you do. Like,
we're a joke? Is that what you're saying?
No, and that's not what Phil said. But the fact that we're not talking about Bigfoot and stuff, and that you and I tend to have a lot more
That's
fun.
because we don't talk about real stuff. We talk about make-believe stuff.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, so I don't want this. I have something that will end this episode on a high note. So we're gonna have to. Oh man, I just lost it.
You forgot it? Don't you have it wrote down? Don't you have notes?
No, I had it. It was something great I saw, but
you are way too old to be trying to remember anything.
Well, yeah, it's bad. So I'll have to try to find it again. But you mentioned before we jumped on the passing of the great singer-songwriter Kris Kristofferson, one of the best songwriters ever. In my book, Sunday Morning Coming Down is probably one of the best written songs, probably top 5 best written songs in my book, but I mean, he was a man's man too,
Yeah. I mean, he couldn't make it today. They would cancel him or run him out of town or something. But
no, they wouldn't.
Back in his day,
he'd still be. Listen, the demise of the man in country music is greatly exaggerated, but he would still be doing great. He'd be just like those guys coming out of Texas, Cody Johnson and Co Wetzel and those guys. He'd be great.
They ain't in Nashville, are they?
Yeah, they are now. They're in Nashville now. Yeah. No, he was great. I know. I've had conversations with Tanya about him, and she loved him. She thought he was amazing. She got inducted into the Hall of Fame last fall. She said he lives in Hawaii,
and as all successful songwriters should.
They should, yes. And she said he surprised her. He came from Hawaii to Nashville when she got inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame, and totally surprised. So she was, after I had talked to her, she was going to go to Hawaii for a little bit and hang out with him, her and her boyfriend. So we're going to go hang out with them. So I think she did get to, because she would be kicking herself. She takes some of that. She takes that pretty hard. A lot of her people she came up with were 20, 30, 40 years older than her when she came up, because she was so young, and she's watching a lot of them pass away, and she's still relatively young, so that would be a difficult thing to see. This, but then Kristofferson wrote so many great songs, so iconic, but his story. Yeah, have you ever heard the story? And I think our guy Jake Brennan on Disgraceland told the story of how Kris Kristofferson got his songs to Johnny Cash.
He flew him over there
in a helicopter, in a Black Hawk or whatever.
He was a helicopter pilot in the Army. That was pre-Black Hawk by about 30 years, but that's okay.
30. Hey, look, that's why you're here. You're fact checker.
This is the midweek howl. We don't let facts get in the way of a good story.
Exactly. Now, I don't know if that story was ever confirmed that he just showed up.
It's in Cash's autobiography.
Is it? Okay.
Or Jennings, one of the two. Yeah.
Okay. That he tried to give the tape. He was the janitor at a publishing company, and he tried to give his tape to Johnny Cash's guy, and he just kind of said, "Yeah, I'll take it," and then he set it aside, never listened to it, and he was bound and determined he was going to make a good impression, and so he flew that helicopter out to Johnny Cash's ranch. Or
it seems like I have his book. Did Christopherson have a
I'm sure
autobiography?
I'm sure he did. I don't know what it would be,
because he was slated to be the journalism teacher or the English teacher at West Point, and he said, "No, I'm getting out of the Army." And his dad, it caused a lot of problems between him and his dad for years, because he was just going to go live in San Francisco with Janis Joplin and a bunch of hippies, write songs and drink, and his dad just was almost disowned him over the whole deal.
Wow, I hope that at some point he saw the success he had and appreciated it. But right before we came on, I got a text message about another person who passed away today, like within the last hour, I think, that we're on here. Pete Rose.
Doggone it, and he never got inducted in the Hall of Fame.
Nope.
This is going to go down as Black Weekend for me.
Is it really? I mean, he got hosed. He really got hosed.
He's still getting hosed. That's why let's boycott Major League Baseball until he gets in posthumously.
Well, I can't, because the Cleveland Guardians / Indians they have a good.
I'd boycott them just for changing the freaking name.
Well, I don't care about the name. I'm a Jose Ramirez fan. I don't care what they call them. They can call themselves the Dandelions. It doesn't matter, huh?
See, that's why let's not even get political, but that's why this country's in the problem. It is right there.
It's not political. I mean, come on. I mean, first of all, the Indians was about the 15th different name they'd had in their history.
Yeah, but they finally won. If they go to hell or heaven, whichever, you think Marge Schott's going to know what team it is?
Oh my gosh! So you're telling me if Cleveland's plane crashes,
yes, they're going to get off and say we're the Guardians, and
Marge Schott. Well, first of all, you're assuming Marge Schott's going to be in heaven.
I said heaven or hell, whichever one. You thinking all those players are going to heaven? Is that what you think?
I don't know. I mean, they don't. I mean, I want to think that they're my team. Come on.
That's why they're losing.
But
if you're going to get to heaven, you got to raise a little hell. Come on, that should be a song.
Oh, I think it is. It's probably been tried or done.
I am in the Ozarks, so go ahead, keep talking.
What I'm saying is, man, I remember the whole deal going down with Bart Giamatti, going after him. I mean, I was in two-a-days at Cincinnati, right there, because he had been the manager of the Reds when all that stuff came down, and I just remember what a big deal that was down in Cincinnati. And what was crazy is I think Bart Giamatti died like Pete Rose got the last laugh. He lived a lot longer, but I think Bart Giamatti died within 6 months of suspending or banning him for baseball for life.
Yeah. You got to watch him. Maybe you had one of them Ohio Haitians put a hex on him. Maybe they were the original voodoo.
Much like the Black Hawk helicopter that was long before.
But that's named after an Indian. All the entire U.S. helicopter program has been named after Indians since its inception. You realize that, right?
Apache, right? Tailhook.
Yep. Apache, Comanche, Iroquois. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I feel so bad that he never got to go into the Hall of Fame, and him and Shoeless Joe Jackson, just terrible tragedy that those guys just got hosed. So hopefully, I wonder if Pete Rose, he'll run into Bart Giamatti. I wonder if he'll just punch him right in the mouth. up there. I don't know.
I don't know, man. Now you bring me down. What are we going to talk about tonight?
Well, the third person that died today was Dikembe Mutombo.
I seen that, but I didn't know who he was. I thought he was a character in the Lion King, but
Oh, jeez. How? I think, was it him or Manute Bol? One of those guys was purported to have killed a lion with a spear. I remember that. I can't remember.
Because that's what they made. Now, you would think Nashville's full of studs. Think about that. Before those tribe guys can get married or own property, they've got to go out there and kill a lion with a freaking spear. And you think there's a shortage of manly men over there? I guarantee you there ain't.
No, definitely not. Definitely. But Mutombo, I mean, he's only like 4 or 5 years older than us. He had brain cancer, from what I heard.
I saw it.
Hall of Famer.
These headphones don't get me. These Chinese headphones that cause cancer in California.
Oh, jeez. Anyway, but I did see. So somebody else did make it to 100, and that was Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter had his birthday. They had a birthday celebration for him. Now what? Now, I don't. We were kids when he got elected and got put into office. Do you think history? Do you think he was that bad of a president?
Well, only if you consider inflation and the Iran hostage situation and all the other stuff that he implemented. He created the Department of Education. So look how good education is now because of it.
Yeah, but I don't really think. I think presidents get too much credit, or not enough credit for inflation. I don't really think that. I don't really think that's a direct result of
policy. It's 100% of direct.
No, good God, it's not.
It's the government injecting money into the system. Where else would the inflation come from?
Jimmy Carter did that.
Yes, that's the same thing the current administration did. You realize 1/3 of all money printed in the last 250 years has been printed in the last 3 years?
Has it really?
Too much money. Yes, it's too much money chasing too few goods. Now, and let's not get into a wonky fiscal discussion. I'm about to choke. I'm choking. I've got some iced tea here, and I'm choking on it for some reason. Maybe it's the Lord telling me to change the subject before the last two fans we got, Manitoba Mike and Big Ed, quit me. So.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I do want to talk. This might be something near and dear to your heart. Jailhouse Romance. So I watched. Christy and I watched that Netflix show. What's it called? Jailbreak, Love on the Run.
Never heard of it.
It's a documentary on that. Oh, well, her name was Vicky White. She ran that jail
up in New York or wherever.
No, it's down in Alabama. Okay. And she put in her retirement papers and then snuck that. Well, didn't really sneak the guy. She said she was taking him to the courthouse, and then they went on the run.
Yeah, I remember that. For some reason, I thought did they get caught in New York or Canada or somewhere?
No, here was the deal. They did not. Obviously, the first thing they thought, because the guy
he kidnapped her.
Yeah, I thought he was 6'9". I mean, he was a giant.
That's getting up there.
Giant guy. Okay. And he was like 20 years younger than her. So they obviously right away think that he kidnapped her or killed her or whatever, and he's on the run. And so it was about the third day they're at her parent, at her house going through stuff, when they're starting to think, okay, maybe did she really have something to do with it?
Because of the stuff they found in her house or something?
Well, no, they're starting to wonder if she had something to do with it. Okay. Something didn't set right. So they find this storage receipt with a phone number that was not her phone number. So they checked it out, and here it was her burner phone, and they got on the prison phone line, and her and him had over 1,000 phone calls, all of them recorded on that phone. And nobody, of course, nobody knew it was her until they checked it out. And then as they start listening and they're hearing, for 2 years, they had been having an affair or whatever it was they were doing. And so
that
then
made him the paramour, right? Then,
yeah, I would say so.
Because he was the one that was in that couldn't. Anyway, never mind.
Couldn't say no.
Anyway. Well, they couldn't. They couldn't commit.
Couldn't commit
because he locked up.
Now, listen. He told her in some of those jailhouse recordings, as soon as they got out, the first thing they were doing was getting married. Mm-hmm. They were getting married. So
she couldn't testify against him.
Anyway, they were on the run. So now they know 4 or 5 days in, it's an inside job. And after 7 days,
but it was.
He's
in jail for 2 years.
They didn't. You listen. Nothing against her. She might have been a nice lady. She was not very attractive.
You haven't been in jail for 2 years.
Well, I don't know. I think I'd had to been in jail for a lot longer. I'm thinking.
Go ahead.
Anyway, so they had not had any kind of idea where they were. Okay. And they figured in 7 days, you could legitimately average 600 to 700 miles a day. They said they could have been all the way to Alaska by then. And they were in Evansville, Indiana, like 300 miles away.
Well, that's where, yes, now I remember that. Because it's like, dude.
Like, get out of there. Like, what were they doing?
Well, they probably didn't have any money or anything, did they?
Oh, they had tons. Oh, they had tons. She had sold her house. She had cashed in some of her retirement or something. I mean, they had tons of money. If they took off.
Oh, I feel sorry for her. She must be completely crazy then.
Well,
I mean, what was she thinking?
I don't know. I mean, I think they kind of suspected that once they got out there, then he
was going to kill her.
Well, no, that he took charge, and he's a criminal, so he wasn't very smart, or he wouldn't have been in jail. So they said, and you could tell, like in the phone recordings, she was pretty sharp. Okay, I mean, other than the fact that she, helped a guy serving a life sentence escape, but anyway. She was pretty sharp. She knew what the law, being a law enforcement officer, what they'd be doing and looking for.
Don't say that. I know some of the dumbest people I know are in law enforcement. We had that conversation today at work, but go ahead.
Anyway, well, that's what I'm saying. It's hard to say how smart she was because ultimately she did commit a really stupid crime that ended up costing her life. So, But they could have been in the middle of nowhere, Montana, South Dakota.
But they're still in America. Unless they had a plan to get out of the country, they're just, what? Well, it doesn't matter. Yeah, what I mean? She should have shipped all this money overseas and got on a plane and said, hey, you get on that banana boat and work it back to wherever, and I'll meet you over there in Cyprus or something. But no, hanging out in Indiana ain't going to do it. You know what I mean? The Motel 6 is only going to get you so far.
Well, and the worst part was they were parked right out front. And it was like the third car.
I'm sure she parked correctly, too, because she didn't want to break the rules. I'd probably run off. I'd run off, and I couldn't get overseas. I'd run off to Manitoba Mike. I'd be up there in the mountains like that Bronson movie, Death Hunt. I'd reach out to some of my fans. Maybe I'd be in a fish house somewhere. Mm-hmm.
So you think
in the summertime, I'd take my fish house into the woods and live in it. So, and in wintertime, I'd push it back on the ice.
But you'd go to Canada, huh?
If I couldn't get to South America, or I would rather go to Europe than South America. But beggars can't be choosers. Brazil wouldn't be bad. Argentina would be better.
Now, our buddy Wade always tells us if you can get to Thailand, you can live like a king.
First of all, I'd stick out because I'm too big. And all that Asian food, I had the craps. I mean, I'd be the big white guy buying toilet paper by the buckets, if they even have it over there. I don't even know what they do in there, Thailand.
But is there any extradition from Thailand
I think there probably is, but you got to worry about the locals slitting your throat and stuff.
before you got to
There's
worry
some
about?
bad stuff. Yeah, you know the old adage: you run out of money, you run out of friends.
I don't know that adage. I'm not hanging out in places like that. So that's the old adage: you run out of money, you run out of friends.
Yeah, in those
Okay.
kind of environments when you're on the run, for sure.
All right. Hey, look, that's why I don't hang out in those places.
Nope.
I got to live vicariously through you when it comes
I
to
don't
that.
live anything. I don't want nothing. You know what my great plan was today? My son's home from football practice. He's going to put new headers on his Camaro. That was what we were doing out there. And then I got home and they wanted to talk, and I had to run down here and do the podcast. So I missed dinner.
You missed.
I missed dinner. That's what I'm sacrificing.
I'm sure there'll still be some there waiting for you. Won't there?
Now I know you had 2 or 3 other things to talk about, didn't you?
Well, I didn't know. Did you? I mean, I think we should probably send some prayers out to all the flooding victims. I mean, that's terrible. That's some of the worst stuff
know.
I've seen.
Yeah, I almost forgot all about that. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, some places are going to be the roads are going to take years to replace. Some of the roads and bridges are going to take years to replace.
Well, my oldest daughter, Friday, was it Friday? Friday was her 10th anniversary, which I cannot believe. I have a daughter that's been married 10 years. That's it's just crazy to me. But anyway, they were going to go to They were going to Asheville
for their. Glad they didn't make it.
Yes, and so they canceled it, and then but she ended up saying a place called Chimney Rock.
Yeah, I think it got wiped out, didn't it?
Got wiped out completely, she said. And because she said there's like a place called Blowing Rock and maybe that Chimney Rock, and they're all up there is that the Blue Ridge Mountains in Asheville. She said they're all really cool, like places to go. And she said, yeah, Chimney Rock just got complete. And I saw pictures and I'm like, I can't believe it. It's just insane to me. It's just hard to believe. And I saw there a lot of people still missing. I mean,
500.
Is there 500? I saw the one place
missing.
There's like 120 missing. They gave this one factory. They sent everybody home. They told them, "Hey, you're all dismissed," and so they all went outside. And it's just like a torrential river coming through
So did the factory get wiped out, or just the parking lot with all those people in it?
Just the parking lot, because the factories, and they said like 10, 11 people jumped on this semi trailer to try to save themselves, and it tipped over, and 5 or 6 of them got saved, and the rest are still missing. Which, I mean, you get in that water, you're done, I would say, unless you get really lucky, but. Yeah, that's just it's amazing, the force of water and then what fire does. It's just I hope to never have to. I mean, I've seen floods and stuff. You've seen floods, but nothing like that. I've never been involved in anything like that. So I can't imagine. What it's like to rebuild.
Yeah, because that was flash flood. I think it came up pretty quick, didn't it?
Oh yeah. It seemed to. Like you just wouldn't have a chance. And getting in a car, is just like a death sentence.
At least they find your body easier when you get in a car.
Well, somebody told me that they were telling people down in Tampa that were not leaving, even though they told them to leave. They said, "Look, if you ain't gonna leave, take permanent marker and write your name and date of birth on your body somewhere in permanent marker. So when we find you, we have an idea who you are."
And those people said, "Sure, let me run out outside and go now."
I don't know, but can you imagine that? I can't. I saw the pictures. Did you see that hospital in Tampa that put up that wall to protect them against the flood water. Now, I don't even know if it was a real video. That's the problem in this day and age.
No, I mean that almost sounds too stupid to be fake. Go ahead.
But they put up a like this wall around the hospital and it kept the water out.
Did it work?
Seemed to, but like I said, I don't know. Like I'm sitting there going, is this real? Like, is this true? You know, so I don't know. I'd have to look it up and see. Yeah, wall around Tampa Hospital.
Well, I guess as long as the flood water wasn't fast moving, if it was just backed up water, it wouldn't take a whole lot to.
It's called the Aqua Fence, protected Tampa's hospital. Yeah, Tampa's main hospital sits on an island, and a temporary flood wall protected it from major storm surge. How about that?
Well,
so it's real. So it's a new thing called the Aqua Fence. Wow.
There you have it. You never can tell, can you?
The storm surge was 15 feet above sea level.
Yeah.
So they've used this fence multiple times over the last 4 or 5 years, and it's worked every time. I'm not kidding you. I'll have to send you a video of it. It does not seem real. Like they got this fence up. I will. Like they got this fence up, and it's just like, yeah, it's like holding a river back. It's crazy, huh? I wonder who invented that. I mean, looks like a great thing, huh? Yeah, it doesn't even look real.
I got it.
I mean, look at that. Doesn't it look like it should just be?
Well, I didn't open it. I didn't want to take away from the podcast.
Oh,
you're out here. This is like a.
Didn't open.
Yeah. Well, I wonder what holds that thing up.
I have no idea. I have to look at it a little bit closer. So yeah, everybody go check out the Aqua Fence. So, but I do want to thank everybody, all of our fans, for going and checking out the Hotter in Texas lyric video that came out last week. We got
how many views did you get?
I think it's over 3,000 right now.
There you go.
Which is pretty good for a lyric video that isn't getting promoted, you know.
Right.
But every little bit counts. I think Wade just had a big interview with Fox. Oh, whoa! Wade just sent me. I literally just got this text from our buddy David. Way made the National Enquirer.
Well, hey, he's getting somewhere. What did it say about him? He's a really alien or what?
Oh my God! Waylon grandson cleans up his act. He made the National Enquirer. I can't read.
He cleaned up his act because of the National Enquirer, or he cleaned it up so good that
the National Enquirer. The National Enquirer is reporting that he cleaned up his act. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Yeah, I had found this. Really cool list of it's marriage advice from Jackie Gleason.
Well, there you go. No, but how many times was he married?
I don't know, but it was fantastic. I was hoping to find it. I was going to end the.
Well, Jackie Gleason, how do you end it with that? I mean, that's a good start. It's one of my favorite guys.
Let me see if I can pull it
Between
up.
him and Red Fox, I don't know which one I like better.
Oh, right here. Okay. All right. You want me to? Okay.
Go ahead. Throw it out there.
So this is Jackie Gleason's secret to the perfect marriage. Okay. Number 1, 2 times a week, we go to a nice restaurant, have a little beverage, good food, and companionship. She goes on Tuesdays. I go on Fridays.
Yeah. Why not?
Number 2, we also sleep in separate beds. Hers is in California. Mine's in Texas. I take my wife everywhere, but she keeps finding her way back. Mm-hmm. Number 4, I asked my wife where she wanted to go for our anniversary. She said somewhere I haven't been in a long time. So I suggested the kitchen. Number 5, we always hold hands. If I let go, she shops. Number 6, she has an electric blender, electric toaster, and an electric bread maker. She said, there are too many gadgets and no place to sit down. So I bought her an electric chair. My wife told me the car wasn't running well because there was water in the carburetor. I asked her where the car was. She told me in the lake. Number 8, she got a mud pack and looked great for 2 days. Then the mud fell off. She ran after the garbage truck yelling, am I too late for the garbage? The driver said, no, jump in. Remember, marriage is the number 1 cause of divorce.
That's what I always say.
Number 11, I've married Miss Wright. I just didn't know her first name was Always. Number 12, I haven't spoken to my wife in 18 months. I don't like to interrupt her. Number 13, the last fight was my fault, though. My wife asked what's on the TV, and I said dust. There you go. There's some Jackie Gleason's advice on being married.
Well, it was a different time, wasn't it?
And you know what? The best part is trying to imagine him saying that. That'd be perfect. I wonder how. I mean, I think most of our demographics about our age, so they probably all remember Buford T. Justice, right? Isn't that?
Yeah, yeah. That's you know, it's what's funny. I watched the whole Burt Reynolds thing the other day. You know, Burt Reynolds is what got him into Smokey and the Bandit, and then they were only in one scene together, and Burt Reynolds had him cut the other scenes out because I guess I hate to talk bad about Burt Reynolds, but apparently he couldn't handle the personality that Jackie had on scene. Does that make sense?
So Jackie Gleason was too big of a personality for
yes,
Burt Reynolds?
and they showed a clip of an interview when that was the number 2 show it was only after I think Star Wars is the only thing that beat it. Star Wars or Jaws.
So how does the sexiest man alive, the centerfold and playgirl, feel intimidated by Jackie Gleason by an over the hill?
Said was, well, you know, they said he got him into it. He had promised Hal Needham, his stunt guy that wrote it.
Yeah.
That he would do it, and when they come to the sheriff, he had because I think Gleason have some kind of Florida connection.
Oh yeah, isn't Florida where they took him to the Cape Canaveral and he saw aliens?
I don't know. I'm reading he died in Florida and was buried in Florida. So apparently, it was Burt Reynolds' idea to get him. And then after the thing I started to say was, I need a cough button. I don't have one. They asked Burt about this great movie that came out. You know, he was on like the Dinah Shore show or one of them, and he goes, "You mean the movie about the Southern sheriff chasing the bootleggers?" It wasn't. In reality, the movie was the bootleggers being chased by him. Does that make sense? But he kind of sarcastically said it was about Gleason, you know. And
good old Jackie Gleason. He did make the movie though.
Yes, you know, and the other Jackie Gleason story I got, it's in I don't think it's in a Robert Ruark book. It might be. There was an old bar in New York called Toots Shores, TOOTS SHORE. It was a famous. You've heard of it, haven't you?
It sounds familiar. Yes.
Yeah, you know, it was one of those bars that like Joe DiMaggio and the who's who of New York would be out there in the 40s and 50s.
Yeah.
And there's a story. There's a documentary about Toots Shor that I watched. It was very intriguing. They talk about it. One of them wrote it in a book. I read an article. I wrote it in this book, and they talked about it in that documentary. That one day, I don't remember who famous, the guy Toots Shor, Toots they called him. He was he always stood close to the front of the door to welcome people in, or if you weren't welcome, to keep you out.
Okay.
And somebody that walked in was like, I don't think it was DiMaggio. It was somebody, maybe, give me one of the Rat Pack.
Joey Bishop.
No.
Wasn't Sammy Davis, probably.
No,
Dean Martin.
No, not Dean Martin, but the other white guy.
Frank Sinatra?
Like, yeah, it was either Martin or Sinatra or somebody walked in and greeted him and looked down at the floor and said, "Oh my God, is that Jackie Gleason?" Because he was passed out in the floor. And Toots said, "Yes, we're leaving him there," because I guess he had had a bet with this Toots who could drink who under the table, and when he passed out, they left him, for like 3 hours in the floor of the bar, and everybody that walked in walked around him.
Oh my God, is that Jackie Gleason?
What do you think of that story?
I'm glad I'm not Jackie Gleason. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, the Honeymooners, that's what made it. He was married 1, 2, 3 times. Maybe 4. Was this one twice? No. 3 times.
I always liked the little the Bugs Bunny cartoons where they did the Honeymooners. They had the mice.
Oh yeah, sure.
The mice were oh gosh, Art Carney and Jackie Gleason.
Right.
And I'm sure it wasn't them doing the voices. I'm sure it was Mel Blanc. He could probably do their voices. But
right. Wish I could get somebody to do my voice. Can you form that out? Maybe we can get AI. Maybe AI can data mine them all, copy my voice, and then you could give it a topic, and then it would sit there and make a new episode of my voice. And you know what I mean?
I wonder if Phil could do that. Phil's always sending me stuff. Like he creates a lot of artwork ideas. Now they don't end up using them for movies and stuff, but ideas. And he does a lot of Bigfoot stuff, just messing around. I wonder if he could do an AI.
I want him to do absolutely. Maybe hold on. I'm going to tell you one Gleason story, and then we'll come back. Do you realize he has a record? His first album still holds the record for longest stay on Billboard's top 10 charts. You want to know how long it stayed in the top 10?
Oh boy, it'd have to be like a year and a half.
153 weeks.
Oh God, that's
his first 10 albums sold over a million copies each. He was an instrumental guy. He you knew that, didn't you?
I did not.
He what do they call that when he conducted?
Jackie Gleason was a conductor.
Mood music albums. Yep. I'm reading right here. Gleason enjoyed a prominent secondary music career during the 50s and 60s, producing a series of best-selling mood music albums. His first album, Music for Lovers Only, still holds the record for longest stay on Billboard's top 10. His output includes more than 20 singles and 60 long-play record albums and more than 40 CDs.
Jackie Gleason. I can't even believe. Oh, gosh. Okay.
So this is what I want Phil to do.
Okay.
I want him to create a Bigfoot meme with my voice and have and do the show. So when people tune in, they can hear a Bigfoot. So that way, if they get screwed up on the week and they think they think they're listening to a regular show, they can listen. You want a Bigfoot, you get the Bigfoot doing the midweek howl.
Well, it can't be the next one because hey, our next episode is with our guy. We're doing the crime scene report episode. So
I can't wait.
I'm pretty excited about that. So all right. Well, we'll get on Phil, see if he can do an AI Bigfoot for you, and then next time we talk to everybody, we're going to be talking crime scene.
There you go. Sounds good.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the From the Shadows podcast. Until next time, never shy away from the darkness or what may be lurking in the shadows. We are out.